Hey guys, for week three's video, it'll be covering a speed endurance type of workout. This means reps are a controlled speed for a longer distance. For this workout that you're about to watch, it is half miles at a 2:31 goal pace. I'd also like to say that this video is a little bit longer than usual. That is because I got to go back home for spring break. I got to run on the dirt roads. I got to have my dad follow me on the four-wheeler, and you'll see in the video the little GoPro contraption that we had zip tied to the front of the four-wheeler. That's why the video is longer. Feel free to skip through. I talk at the front of the video like this, and then at the back of the video I talk again, so you can skip through. You can skip to the 800s, whatever you want to. But the reason it's longer is because I'm on the dirt roads. I am running through pretty countryside. The redbuds are in bloom, so I just kind of wanted to not cut out too much, as I just really got to enjoy the pretty countryside, and I wanted to leave a lot of that in the video. So feel free to skip through if you want to, but that's that. I'll let you get into it. Anyways, we got 5 800s at 231, about a 504 pace. 200 meter jog recovery after each one of those. We'll start out slow, make sure we get through the whole workout. Kind of a little bit being Monday of a speed day, and this type of workout kind of speed endurance. So anyways, we get into it.
first two, we're on pace. Second two, we're slow, so we took a little bit longer break. We're gonna try and clean this up with a little bit of speed. We'll end right after that bridge. So, be good. Were you reading all that graffiti?
I think they have been too.
Yeah. We are not the country people that wrote all that graffiti.
First time I've actually seen that.
Yeah, we came out here when we were riding this weekend. We came out here.
finished watching me run, I would just like to discuss the workout a little bit. I ran 5 800s, and my times for those were obviously listed in the video. 2:38, 2:32, 2:52, 2:44, and then 2:23. So by the middle of it, I had slowed down a little bit, and then as the workout went on, I brought the times back down a little bit. But it was a pretty solid workout. There was also a 200-meter jog planned rest. Now, I did a little bit more than that. I believe for the first two, probably stuck pretty close to that, but then third, fourth, and fifth, I was doing the 200-meter jog, resting a little bit, and then on that last one, the fifth 800, you'll see in the video the clips of me riding back to the other end. I was running on a straightaway, and so running one way, I was running into the wind, and then by the other end of the straightaway, I was going uphill. Then coming back, I got to have a downhill on the start and run with the wind. So on the fifth rep, instead of running into the wind up the hill, I got a good rest. I rode the four-wheeler with my dad back to the other end, and then I got to start down the hill plus run with the wind. And so that's why I was able to kind of clean it up, finish faster, finish stronger. But I do have to be careful doing that, as it is a speed endurance workout, and the whole point is to get tired as you go. So it was nice to finish fast. I still had 4 solid 800s where I got slow and then still finished with a 240 something, and then got to finish with a faster, more speed 800. Moving on, that's the workout. That's week 3. I know the video's up late, but kind of leads me into what I want to talk to you about this week. So, we've been in Mark for our scriptures of the week, and I'll just start with Mark 9, verse 23, which was our week 1 scripture, which read, Jesus said to him, if you can believe, all things are possible to him who believes. And then, after Mark 23, verse 9, we had Mark 10, verse 27. But Jesus looked at them and said, with men it is impossible, but not with God, for with God all things are possible. And then after Mark 10:27, we have for week 3, which is already posted, Mark 11, verse 24. Therefore I say to you, whatever things you ask when you pray, believe that you receive them, and you will have them. So, 3 chapters in a row, we see our theme of believe. 3 chapters in a row, Jesus is giving us believe. And I want to kind of talk about these as I look at them. In a way, they kind of build on each other. So with Mark 9:23, we see all things are possible to us if we believe. We see that our mind is a very powerful thing. We can have goals, we can have aspirations, we can have a time we want to meet. And there's a lot of work to get there. But you won't get very far if you don't see it up here. If you are not constantly seeing it up here, constantly imagining it, and believing wholeheartedly that you will get there, you probably won't. And then we add to that with men it is impossible, but not with God, for with God all things are possible. So now we see in Mark 9, believe, and then in Mark 10, believe and have God, because with God it is possible. And then moving forward to our verse this week, Mark 11, verse 24, now we add into that pray. So the way I'm looking at this, in running, you have your disciplines, you have to, obviously, you have to get your workouts in, you have to get your runs in, you have to focus on your speed, you have to focus on your base, which is mileage. You need to eat right, get sleep right. I mean, that's one thing I did better at recently, is by getting my 7-8 hours of sleep, sometimes more, taking a hot shower, focused on recovery. I felt better the next day and was able to give 100% to that workout. And you have all these things that you got to be disciplined enough to do, because if you want to have your goal and have a good goal, you have to be disciplined to get there. Same thing here. We see a little bit of a discipline being told to us. Pray. Whatever things you ask when you pray, Believe that you receive them and you will have them. So again, believe it. And now go to God. So believe it up here, do it with God, and be with God. So to connect this all together, you're running. You can go out there and you can run 5 miles every morning. But if you want to bring your 800 time down, or meet your goal, whatever that may be, it can't just be, okay, I got my 5 miles in this morning, I'm good. You have to be constantly in your craft, constantly doing what you're doing. So it's the same with God. You can't just say, oh, I'm a Christian, I go to church. Can't just say, yeah, I said a prayer. Yeah, I sang the songs in chapel. I did this, I did that. And there's checking the boxes versus living it out. Going through the motions versus doing something 100%. And real quickly, I want to talk about last week's spring break. It was great. I got to spend time with my family. I got to see my girlfriend, all the animals. I got to run on the dirt roads. I got to run back at my hometown track. It's all great. But it was very overwhelming because I just didn't get a lot done. Just being home, being busy, had schoolwork still to do, and other things, driving 30 minutes to get anywhere because we live out in the country. Very overwhelming. But I still got to do all that. I didn't have to do all that. I did enjoy it. But I say that to say, this YouTube video, this YouTube channel was a hobby for me to take my mind off of running. I was putting too much pressure into it to where I was just trying to get a whole bunch done instead of just doing what my coach was giving me, doing it 100%. Recently, like last week, YouTube, I was worried about not getting a video up on Saturday because you're supposed to make your channel grow, you have to post on time, certain day, like regularly, have all this planned out, and there's all that. And within 3 weeks, I had already made my new hobby become something that there's all this pressure to get done, do it. And I was just throwing stuff together, and I threw together a video to put into it about me talking to you, and it's like, okay, I can hurry up to post it at a certain time, or I can step back, quit just trying to check all the boxes, and make a good YouTube video, and enjoy doing it, and be proud of it. So, taking that back to running, you want to be good at running, you have to constantly do your workouts, 100%. Don't try and be like, okay, I gotta get a morning run, I gotta run at practice, and then I gotta get my own mileage in, and then I gotta make sure I'm lifting 5 times a week, and make sure I'm eating all the most healthiest foods, and I am stretching like twice a day. Like, that was me. I was literally trying to do all that instead of just focusing on what coach gave me. When I got done taking a hot shower, eating a good dinner, going to bed, getting 8 hours of sleep, waking up the next day, and looking forward to practice. Now with the Bible. I'm glad that our weekly scripture for this week is telling us to pray, because that is one of my weaknesses. Every night before bed, I did tonight, I pray with my girlfriend. But sometimes that can just become, yeah, I prayed. What I need to work on is actually being alone and meditating in prayer with God. Being with God, immersing myself in that prayer, being alone, and actually being intentional, and thinking, being with God. And that is how I will build my relationship with God. If I'm at a Christian college, York University, I can say I went to chapel, I can go to church on Sunday morning, I can sing all the songs, I can pray every night with Avery, and I can go to my one Bible class that I have on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But those have kind of just become boxes. So, my goal for this week is to actually talk with God, talk with Him like He's my friend, talk with Him like He's my Father, be alone with Him, and grow that relationship. So, that's what I wanted to say for this week. we will stick with our theme of believing, and then that'll maybe turn into a little bit of like a discipline type of theme. But as of right now, believe it up here, do it with God, be with God, and intentionally pray this week. I thank you for your time, I really do. I'm sorry for the video being so long, but hopefully you enjoyed it, and I am going to continue enjoying doing YouTube. So thank you.